What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Pens and Tea. My name is Carrie, and today we're going to be talking about a Buddha's Blend tea and the Monteverde Mountains of the World fountain pen. So this tea is very interesting, and I say interesting because this is one of the very few teas that, depending on how you steep it, will dramatically alter the flavor of this tea. Most teas can get a little bit bitter if you oversteep them too long, specifically white teas and green teas. Not so much black teas or anything like that, but this tea will depend down to like the second. I've had it twice now, and wow. So it says it is a white tea according to like the label, but it's actually a mixture of white tea and green tea. It says, we don't like to brag, but we're pretty sure we just found the key to achieving nirvana. It's easier than you think. Just sip a cup of this delicate blend. The ingredients are white tea, green tea, jasmine pearls, white hibiscus blossoms, natural and artificial flavoring. And the directions according to David's tea is 1.25 teaspoons, 80 degrees Celsius or 176 degrees Fahrenheit water. Steep for 2 to 3 minutes, and it has medium caffeine. Those instructions to me, far too long. This tea is so odd. The first time I made it, honest to goodness, it tasted like cigarette water. Not that I've ever tried cigarette water, but just the smell of what you can, it was disgusting. I took like 2 sips and I threw the rest out. I even let other people try it before I did it, and whoa, it was so gross. It was just disgusting. Like literally what cigarette water smells like is what it tasted like. And I was like, how is this one of their most popular teas? That is just freaking wrong. So after about like 6 months, they started handing them out in sample sizes like this. So I decided to try it again. So what most likely ended up happening when it tasted like cigarette water was that the water was too hot and I let it steep for too long. Second time I made it was better. I put in only 1 teaspoon. I let it steep for 2 minutes, and then I followed the directions and I had it at 80 degrees Celsius or 176 degrees Fahrenheit. And it was better. Still wasn't anything I was super thrilled about. Didn't remind me of cigarette water, but still wasn't super thrilled. So next time I'm going to try about 90 seconds with this pack that is unopened right now. I'm going to try steeping it for about 90 seconds to see what happens. I'm not a huge fan of it. It's kind of like floral water was the second time I had it. And it was kind of like mildly astringent. I'm not sure if that's like because still I'm oversteeping it. I don't know, but jasmine and hibiscus are definitely the main notes when you don't burn the crap out of it. It's just, I don't know. I don't think unless I can get this one to be perfect, I really don't think it's one I'm going to get. And I certainly wouldn't buy it because it's more expensive. It's $11.98 per 50 grams. So it's a relatively expensive tea. And for the 2 experiences that I've had so far, nah. I'm good. I got loads of others I can go for. With that tea, I have paired the Monteverde Mountains of the World fountain pen. This one in particular is the K2 version. I liked the finish of this one the best. It's supposed to kind of look like snow and ice, which the camera makes it look a little bit darker, a little bit murkier than it does in real life. But I like the finish. You definitely get a depth of material with the different flecks, and I really like that look. So I'm definitely digging the finish. It's not quite as like pearlescent or quite as deep as you would get in something like an acrylic that you would often see from like Edison Pen Company, for example. But this is pretty close. And every pen that you get will have like a different pattern. So, this is obviously the one that I have, but you will get different like flecks in different like spots when you order it, because every pen is different, like a snowflake. So You won't get an identical copy, but I mean, obviously the overall finish will be the same. This pen has a really good weight to me. There's definitely a lot of metal parts to this pen. So, you know, you got the metal end cap, you've got metal bands, you know, you open it up, you got metal here and here, the threading on the inside, also metal, metal in here. So you definitely get a good chunk of metal to add some good weight to it, which I really like. To me, perfect, unposted, really well balanced, ever so slightly nib heavy, which is actually what I prefer. If it's going to be perfectly balanced, great. If it's going to be heavy one way or the other, I do prefer the nib side. You can post it, just push to post. It becomes a little too back weighted for me at that point, just because I don't have super large hands. But for men or anything like that, I think you would find it comfortable if it was posted. So I enjoy the weight of the pen, definitely. I really like the grip size. It's a fairly meaty grip size. So there's definitely no worry of your thumb sitting on the threads. The threads are a little sharp. Nothing like gonna cut you or anything, but if you do hold it, you'll notice that they're there. But more often than the threads, you're gonna notice that step. There is a bit of a step down from the body to the threads. So if you do hold it really far back, that would be probably uncomfortable for you. And it's a little bit slippery if you do that. But the grip section's pretty large, so I don't imagine that you would hold it that far back. So I like that. The other thing I like about this pen is that the converter that it comes with is standard international, and it's also threaded. So just like all the other Monteverdes that I did, you screw in the converter into the body, which again makes it really handy for when you're filling, so that you don't have to worry about the grip section or anything like that popping off of the pen when you're filling, cleaning, anything like that. So I really dig it. And another thing I like is the number 6 size nib, which means that you can swap it out with any other number 6. So I like the fact that you're not stuck with just this one. The nib to me this is a medium, by the way. It is a steel nib. It writes pretty well right now, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in the writing sample, but you can swap it out if you want to. The things that I dislike about this pen is that I did have to work on the nib a little bit. I made it more wet. So when I got it, the tines were really tight. They were aligned, and that's great, but they were really tight, so the pen was a dry writer. So I did have to work with it a little bit to make it more wet, but I have to do that with a lot of pens now, so not so bad. The clip on the lid here is very loose. So, I mean, if you clip it to something, would it stay? Probably, but I wouldn't really necessarily trust it on anything. Not that I use it a huge amount, but it's just something, you know, that I wish would be a little bit tighter. And it does kind of pop in and out here. Like I can literally like go like this with it a little bit. So, meh. The other thing is that the threads here feel unpolished to me. I get a fair amount of friction when I cap and uncap the pen. It feels as though maybe the threading here is too sharp and the threading on the inside of the cap has been unpolished, so it's like they fight each other when I'm closing them. Not enough for me to like not be able to close it, but just enough so that it's a little unpleasant. Just seems kind of rough to me, which is rare because I've never really encountered that on a lot of pens, even like super cheap, like couple dollar pens. So I'm a little bit disappointed in that. But other than that, I like the look of it. You know, you've got the mountains of the world kind of on the clip here. You've got 4 chrome bands on the cap and another chrome band just where the cap meets the body, and a chrome end cap as well. Nothing on the top. It's not a super cheap pen, but it's also not a super inexpensive pen. Expense obviously is a very personal thing. So, you know, $10 to somebody could be expensive, who knows, but it is priced at $68 US, which translates right now to Canadian dollar with our dollar the way it is $88. Which begs the question that everybody watches reviews for mainly, would I recommend it? 68, maybe. 88, probably not. It's a good pen. I like it. It writes well. Just thinking, in my opinion, would I buy this pen again, knowing what I know now? I think 88 would be a little bit too much for it. The material doesn't wow me enough. The nib doesn't wow me enough for, almost $100 to be worth it, really. If I were to choose a pen in this price range, to be honest, I would rather save up a little bit and get like an Edison pen or something like that, where the material is outstanding and the nibs are really great as well. Or, to be honest, the Conklin All-American. I would choose roughly around the same price point, and I would choose that over this, given the choice again. But that said, let's jump into the writing sample and I'll show you what it can do. Okay, so, sorry for getting that out of focus there. My camera stand is actually broken, so anyway. So we have the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Right away, you're going to notice that the word the is much more wet than by the time you get to the lazy dog. That is a common theme with this pen. Wasn't actually right out of the box, but within the last day or two, it seems to be doing that, where it starts off wet and then gets drier as it goes on. So heads up, that's what it's doing right now. It is a medium steel nib. The ink is Caran d'Ache Magnetic Blue. So I don't really know what I can show you as far as the wetness goes, since it wants to change right now. When it's dry like this, it's really dry. Nothing really comes out of it. But then when it's like this, it gets pretty wet. Obviously it's dried there. So you can see that color is super dark compared to Lazy Dog. So it's definitely not being the best pen right now. As far as line variation goes, it's going to railroad, but you can try and squeeze some as long as the feed wants to keep up. When it's writing wet, it'll keep up no problem, but once it starts to dry out, it's toast. So I'm definitely going to have to invest time into this pen to try and figure out and fix what's happening. Reverse writing. Oh, see, now you can see it's being wet again. Who knows? Reverse writing. You definitely can. It did skip a little bit here. And it's not actually that scratchy. It's pretty nice. That wasn't a skip, by the way. I just didn't touch the paper. It's pretty nice when you reverse write, so you definitely can do that. You can get to a fine from a medium from that. As far as the smoothness of the nib goes, it's definitely smooth. You do hear it, but it's definitely smooth. Like I said, the tines were perfectly aligned when I got them, so that's not the issue. My main complaint is just the flow. The feed seems a little odd, and I've looked at the nib under the loop, and everything looks perfectly fine, but I am going to spend a little bit more quality time with this bad boy. Because, like I said, it is kind of driving me a little bit nuts. As far as quick writing, it does not keep up, as you can tell. So it's definitely not a pen that I am happy with right now. Physically, it's got a lot going for it. I really like the pen itself as far as what it looks like. I will probably end up replacing the nib, but I do like the pen physically. Just obviously based on my experiences here, it's acting a little weird. But guys, that's enough for me today. If you like the video, hit that thumbs up button. If you really like the video and haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button. There are new videos every Monday and Friday. And don't be afraid of that comment section. Questions, concerns, comments, anything, leave them down below. I read them and I do answer them all as soon as I can. Cool. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.